And welcome back. And we're now at part 3 of this week's RETCONVERSATIONS. Again, dealing specifically with the new DCU. And we're going to talk right now about Demon Knights, #1. Now, this is a book that I was really looking forward to. I'm certainly not ashamed to say I love Paul Cornell. I liked, admittedly, his work on Marvel better than I did his work at DC. But I think this is really kind of, this is really his wheelhouse, where he's dealing with, very British characters. At least they're kind of the centerpiece. I think that he really feels comfortable with these characters. Because, who have we got? The Demon Knights, again, this is, it seems to almost seem like it's kind of it has almost kind of a Secret Six-ish vibe, which is one of the things that I dug about it. It's not nearly as fucked up as Secret Six is, but it's still, it has some fucked upness to it. And again, that's one of the things that I think is strong about it. It's the Dark Ages, basically. It's post the fall of Camelot. And we've got Jason Blood trekking throughout, England, the British Isles, whatever they were at that point in time, with Madame Xanadu. So we have two immortal characters. He is now Jason of the Blood. First he was Jason of Norwich, and now he's Jason of the Blood, and of course he will eventually become, as we will know him, Jason Blood. And of course he was melded together with Etrigan by Merlin basically at the moments of the fall of Camelot. In this book, okay, so we've got the villains, these kind of very creepy, baby exploding villains, kind of, pretty fucked up there. But we've got, Vandal Savage shows up in this book. We've got the Shining Knight, who could be man or woman at this point in time. I know that Shining Knight had its own, when Grant Morrison was doing the whole Seven Soldiers thing, that was definitely something that, I honestly don't remember if they actually chose a sex for, or what the chosen sex for Shining Knight is, because this, is either a young, a very girlish boy or a very boyish girl. So, I'm not sure. We've got very tall, almost Amazonian looking, named Exoristos. Assuming she might be Greek. She might even be Amazonian. And this kind of Assassin's Creed looking dude named Al-Jabir. And they kind of meet in this pub. And, that's where all of the kind of, they're certainly not introductions, but, that's where they all are. And, the villains send their legions to kind of take everything from the bar. And, of course, a medieval Donnybrook breaks out, which is never a pleasant thing. But, and of course, Jason releases Etrigan. And throughout the book, there's some really great kind of sexy and playful banter between when it's Jason Blood and Madame Xanadu, and when it's Etrigan and Madame Xanadu. I think that she's trying to maybe determine who she kind of desires more, who kind of makes her heart beat faster. It seems to be Etrigan, though. There's just good times to be had here. This is definitely a book that I'm going to keep checking out, because I really, really enjoyed this. I thought it was, like I said, it's right in you know, it's right within what I think, you know, Paul Cornell does really well, which is, you know, playful characters, you know, good characterization, not, you know, a kind of slow burn going on within the comic itself. It's just it's good fun, and I hope that this level of skill continues. Diogenes Nevis is the artist here. Does some really nice work. So again, this is definitely a book worth checking out, and it's definitely a book that I'm going to continue reading. So, Deathstroke. Kyle Higgins, who kind of co-authored Gates of Gotham, he's working with Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, the Terminator. You know, basically the biggest kind of villain badass in the you know, if you took kind of like almost not, you know, if you took a brain, you know, if you took the brain of someone like Lex Luthor and the you know, and combined various you know, fighting and killing styles of people like Deadshot and you know, whoever, you'd kind of have Deathstroke. Although, I mean, he's definitely not Lex Luthor intelligence level, but I mean, and he's certainly not the kind of megalomaniac that Lex is, but, you know, he's definitely a really sharp guy, and he definitely proves that in this issue. You know, basically he gets this kind of impossible job to pull off, but he wants to work solo, because that's what he does, and he gets stuck with this group of noobs that kind of call themselves the Alpha Dogs, you know, DAWGS. You know, he just walks in and he's just like, what the fuck? You know that, okay, he's going to be putting some serious hurt on somebody in this issue somewhere from this team that has been assembled. So you know, basically this kind of impossible mission involves you know, killing, and you know, the killing of a man who's trading secrets, selling secrets, whatever, and the retrieval of those said secrets. But it turns out to be something much different. Hey, surprise, we've got Clayface DNA infused soldiers. Clayface is, you know, is one of those characters that I've always kind of thought was cool, you know, in the fact that, you know, change their appearance, you know, change, you know, become solid, become, you know, soft as clay. So, I mean, they're almost virtually impervious to harm. Well, Deathstroke definitely proves that wrong. They are certainly not impervious to harm. And again, the real goings-on in this book is that whether or not Slade Wilson still has it. He does. He really does. This is another strong #1. You know, a really good first introductory issue to, okay, who this guy is. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't get into backstory, but it doesn't really need to. Deathstroke is the kind of character that I think, okay, you can just jump on with this guy. You know, you have, you know, there is explanation of who he is and his abilities, and that he, you know, essentially is, you know, the world's foremost assassin, but lately he's been kind of more of a bodyguard than anything else. But, you know, he's back into, he's ready to take people down. You know, he wants to get back into the professional assassination game, instead of just being, you know, kind of a bodyguard. And that's where, you know, this kind of ends up. And, you know, again, this is a good #1. It's not as strong as maybe I would have liked, but it's still, you know, this is something I think I will continue to read after this first issue, because, you know, I like Kyle Higgins a lot, and I just, you know, I think it's strong stuff. So going forward, okay, actually got, okay, well, I'm going to talk about one more that I didn't really care for, and that's Grifter, #1. So we've got Nathan Edmondson and Cafu as the artist. Apparently, in this comic, apparently the look that they've created for Cole Cash is that of his Wolverine's blonde clone. I mean, that's really what he looks like. You know, he's got like, you know, if he kind of spiked up his hair, he would be Wolverine. He's got these long kind of, you know, mutton chop. You know, he looks ridiculous to me. The art is pretty good. The art is solid. Writing, not so much. I didn't care about Cole Cash here. Yes, it's established that he is not just his superhero name, you know, that he is a grifter, he's a con man. You know, and there's like 2 lines of dialogue throughout this whole thing that is supposed to, you know, because essentially this seems to be a, you know, this is before Wildcats, you know, before, you know, the whole Wildcats thing began. Now, I've read, you know, so I mean, you know, he gets kidnapped and implanted with something that allows him to hear what I'm really confused as to where this book is trying to go with this. It seems to be going for this kind of creepy, you know, kind of, you know, extraterrestrial, what's going on type of thing. You know, he's losing time. He's, you know, at first he seems to have just lost 17 minutes. Then he's lost 17 hours, and then all of a sudden it's 17 days. He looks like he gets in a situation where he kind of winds up to be, you know, he could be a terrorist. You know, so again, I was just pissed off more than anything that they took really no time to establish, okay, what does this guy do? Other than, you know, that he was a former, you know, like Delta Forces operative, and now he's just a con man. That's the explanation. That's all you have to say about this guy. And now he's freaking out all over the place. It just seemed, you know, again, slapped together quickly, lazily. So it was like, okay, I don't really care about any of this. Because you know, point blank, there's a, for people who are into the Wildstorm universe, you might have heard, hopefully, or people who are just into really, really good comics, hopefully you've heard about Sleeper, which is a series that Ed Brubaker did with Sean Phillips a while ago. It was part of the Wildstorm universe, and Grifter was kind of a major player in certain elements of this book. And, you know, and Brubaker actually wrote, you know, this whole miniseries on just the character of Cole Cash, and, you know, made him, you know, it, like I said, I don't know who Grifter is. I didn't even really know then, but it still made it vital and important and structured. And so you got the idea, okay, well, you know, this guy is a serious badass. He is not to be fucked with. So, I mean, he's more than just, you know, the mask and, you know, his guns, you know. There's more to him than this. And this, he doesn't even have his guns, and he barely has the mask. He has the mask for one frame, and it's the very last frame of the comic. So again, this is something I'm definitely going to dump. I have no interest in continuing this at all, and don't care where it's going. So another loss for, you know, for me and the DC New You. But that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about, these are the things, you know, I'm talking about things that I think are strong and things that I think are unfortunately weak. So there's gonna, you know, I think this is gonna be another one of those series that does end up, you know, kind of getting nixed. But unfortunately, you know, I really hope that, you know, going back to my review of Green Lantern earlier in this segment, I just hope that picks up, because that's still gonna make buku bucks anyway. So anyway, stick around and we'll talk about one more comic plus my book of the week. So stick around.